Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this opinions video. These are your thoughts, your theories, your opinions, and honestly, this has got to be one of the most exciting episodes of opinions to do because what a show Smackdown was. What a show Smackdown was. So let's get to your thoughts and opinions. So Martel said, months ago, Roman said that Solo is next in line as Tribal Chief. It was around SummerSlam last year. Now, this is true, and this is obviously driving a lot of theories. What I would say is I don't know the process of a Tribal Chief being replaced. I don't know if you are meant to overthrow them or if it's a case that they step aside in some sort of ceremony as a new Tribal Chief kind of takes their spot. What I would say is this feels like a coup. This feels like Roman is being removed against his wishes, right? And so I don't know if that means Solo could call himself the Tribal Chief, right? We don't even know if he's doing that at the moment. He hasn't made it clear if he is the Tribal Chief or if actually there is a new Tribal Chief and it might turn out to be The Rock, right? We don't know. It could turn out to be Jacob Fatu. It could turn out to still be Roman, but Roman just wanted Jimmy out, right? Clearly there's been change, but we've not had enough answers to know what that change is at this stage. So I would say watching SmackDown, it's fair to assume that Solo is the new Tribal Chief, but that's not been confirmed. And a lot of people are thinking there's going to be a swerve, there's going to be a twist, there's going to be a reveal that actually it's not Solo that's the new Tribal Chief, it's The Rock, right? And that The Rock is now back and he is now, I don't know, retaking his position as Tribal Chief. Because I've got to think that he was Tribal Chief before. I've got to think at some point in that family's history, The Rock was Tribal Chief. So it is true, that was said, but I wouldn't say that that now means that 100% for certain Solo is now the Tribal Chief, right? Because I think what we're seeing happening right now was maybe not something that Roman had planned. So I think there's been like a coup. I think there's been an overthrowing. I think that we're in uncharted waters. So I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Ricardo, shout out to you, said, I'm gonna watch all of your videos in an hour and a half. I don't think you can do that, but there's nearly 6,000 videos. There's no way you'd be able to watch it in an hour and a half. In fact, I think, wasn't it Alex that once worked out that there's, I can't even remember how much, like, there's years of content on the channel. So, Ricardo, shout out to you. I know what you mean. Sorry for sending another message. No worries. I just finished watching your live for SmackDown, but I love the twist of Tamatanga and that Solo and Tama are most likely acknowledging someone else other than Roman. Yeah, it feels that way, especially because of the phone situation. Him snatching the phone and not wanting Roman to be told and it being thrown down. And then you add in the fact that Tamatanga said to Paul Heyman, by orders of the Tribal Chief, and Heyman didn't know. And he was like, what does that mean? Because he is the wise man. He knows the plans. He knows the plays. And so, you know, unless something's going on behind his back, but then why would they not want Heyman to contact Roman? I feel very confident that Roman is not the person leading this, but the question becomes, who is? Is it Solo? Is it The Rock? Is it Jacob Fatu? It's very interesting. So, Ricardo, shout out to you, my friends. Big supporter of the channel, and it's really appreciated. Rico said, Cody, we want to talk about why The Rock handed you a lighter and letting him go back to Hollywood instead of bringing charges for attempted murder and arson. We will now ask, where were you when the Bloodline Wolfpack was created? Well, to be crystal, we don't know that it was a lighter in matches. That is just the theory. I would say that's the leading theory. There are other theories. One of the other theories is that it was a watch. So this was never revealed, right? On Ariel Helwani, Cody said that he had a watch, Rolex, which had 40 on the dial. And he said, I've got one, Seth's got one, there are others, but I can't say who's got those, right? And the reason why he couldn't say who had got those is because we believe it was Roman and The Rock were the other people that had them, right? So he didn't tell us the names of everyone that had these watches, but we believe it was the 4 guys main event in night 1. Yeah, nice Rolex with a 40 on to commemorate WrestleMania 40. A lovely gesture, right? Roman, you could actually see him wearing his at the Hall of Fame. So when he goes to hug Paul Heyman, you can actually see the watch that Cody has and that Seth has, right? So it's believed he was given one, and so, of course, it's safe to assume that The Rock was given one as well. And so people are saying, oh my God, The Rock gave his watch back to Cody. The problem you've got with that theory is that, well, you're then going to have to explain, why did Cody give The Rock a watch in the first place? Why, when he was getting beaten down, why, when he was getting all blooded up and, you know, all that in the build to WrestleMania, did Cody then turn around and go, here's a watch, here's a Rolex to commemorate? Like, why would he do that? So the watch theory is a fun theory, The Rock giving the watch back. But the problem is, if you go with that, you've then got to explain why Cody gave him a watch in the first place, considering he slapped him at the press event, you know? Slapped him at the press event. There's been all this drama. He was talking about Mama Rhodes. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's not the kind of person I'd be giving a watch to. So that's another leading theory, which I do like in the sense of it makes sense. There's just that one sticking point to it. So I like the matches and the lighter. That's the one that I'm with. But I don't know. I'm sure we will get the answer to it. But I don't think we get the answer to it until we're ready to do the Rock and Cody story. So they've planted a seed that will show itself further down the road. Right. Then we've got Riley. Riley said, hello, it was an okay show. Love the solo segment. I don't understand what we're doing with Bobby Lashley. Well, I think we're about to enter a feud with Legado, to be honest. Feels like the Final Testament lost at WrestleMania, and then for some reason they've popped up in NXT, which I really was not expecting. So I think that we are now going to start a Bobby's group, which we thought were called the Pride, and they're sometimes called the Pride, but they never seem to be referred to as the Pride on the show. So, like, the Pride. Them taking on Legado del Fantasma, and the reason why is because we saw both sets of teams getting involved in that match. So, you know, it was a triple threat. It was Bobby against Santos against LA Knight, and we saw Legado getting involved, we saw Street Profits getting involved, we saw Elektra Lopez getting involved, we saw B-Fab getting involved. So we saw all this outside interference, and I'm thinking that may lead to a bit of a feud now. Because I don't know about you, but I'm pretty much done with the whole Legado LWO thing. I don't think that was very entertaining. It had a couple of moments, but I'm done with that. And it seems like Final Testament are down in NXT, so I think that's the plan. John Elite said, what a SmackDown. Cool to see Tama finally show up on TV. Would be cool to see Tonga and Hikuleo join him. That's Tangaloa. Is that it? Tongaloa. Tamatanga and Tongaloa. I think it's Tongaloa, isn't it? And Hikuleo. I'm not familiar with Hikuleo, but another person that I believe is over in New Japan. I wonder where they would go with Jimmy from here. Maybe have Roman side with him and reunite with Jimmy down the line. Really confused that Tiffany got her old theme back. Yeah, Tiffany getting her old theme was weird, but we spoke about that in Unseen, that the themes have not been getting great reactions. So, you know, if they feel that the older theme was better, then good. I'm glad that someone has made that decision. Jimmy with Roman, I can definitely see that. Jimmy and Roman being together. I suppose it's just, what does Jimmy do now? I think there's probably a good chance we don't see Jimmy next week, because this beatdown was pretty brutal. Paul Heyman came out of that trainer's room and definitely seemed like a bit shook up by what he had seen. So I think it's going to take a little while for Jimmy to recover. Will Jay be by his sides? Is this going to reunite those two? Obviously, we've got a draft coming up at the end of the month, so it's very exciting. I mean, I don't know about you, but next week's SmackDown, definitely can't wait to see how this story progresses. Right, Prakar said, who is in charge of the Bloodline now? Was it Solo doing it on his own, or was it Roman's plan, or was The Rock behind it? Are we getting another Bloodline civil war? I was expecting Carlito to turn on Ray in the main event, but I guess we're going to have to wait. The finish from AJ was crazy. Prakar, thank you. I hope you're well, bud. Shout out to you. Marco Prime Gaming said SmackDown was great. If wins and losses matter, then what does Solo do to Roman since Roman lost? Manny said SmackDown was definitely better than Raw this week. Interested to see where the Bloodline story is heading with the looks of Solo in charge. Feel bad for Jim though. Roman returning as face. DJ Muttking said, so we get Kevin Owens versus CM Punk soon, or did he do that because he's friends with the Bucks? I don't think it's that deep, to be honest. I don't think it's that deep. I think that it's he got asked the question of like, what's things like between you and CM Punk, and he was like, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any issues. I think, were they both in the ring at the end as well of WrestleMania? So I think it was just a way of getting people talking, to be honest. I think it was a way of getting people talking. I think it was a way of inconveniencing the guy at the stall. And I don't think we're building to a feud. But I think what you might see is you might see him kind of doing stuff like that, because anything to do with Punk is going to get people talking. So Kevin Owens is not petty enough to do it just because of the fact that he's kind of messed the Bucks around. Plus that all of that's in the past as well. So yeah, I think it was just a little fun thing of just getting people talking and inconveniencing the merchandise, man. That was my read of it. Finley said, I love tonight's show personally. I think the Bloodline segment was excellent. I think The Rock is behind it and has overthrown Roman. I also think this will lead to Roman making a new Bloodline with the Usos and his own monster, Jacob Fatu. Great show. Loved the Uncle Howdy tease too. Chris said, Bloodline, does this mean Solo is now tribal chief? And thought it was Jay who said about Jimmy at first when I saw the black hoodie. John said, if wins and losses matter, then why did AJ, Kevin Owens and Santos Escobar get a chance to fight for the title? Look at tonight. What if Escobar and AJ had won? Two losers from WrestleMania fighting for the title. Well, I mean, wins and losses should matter, but I think they've probably looked at their top talent, the talent that maybe has, I don't know, had the most wins over the past 3 years or whatever. I'm not sure what the parameters were to actually get all these people this opportunity. It's a fair question, but yeah, the wins and losses thing, I mean, that they should matter. But that was kind of Bloodline, wasn't it? That we're saying that wins and losses matter. So that's why Jimmy was kicked out of the Bloodline. So these people obviously aren't in Bloodline. So I don't know how they qualified. I would say that ideally that information would be shared. But the problem is, if you start going down that rabbit hole, well, then you're going to start putting yourself in a situation where some of your big stars might not make it onto the show. I mean, the truth is, they've put on their big names, the people that sell merch, the people that get the most attention. They've put them into the matches and put them into a qualifying match. So really, at that level, you're qualifying to try and compete to be the number one contender, right? So I suppose at that level, do you need to qualify to get into a qualifier? You know, that's kind of how low, that's how deep down we're going now. You know, do you need to qualify to get into a qualifier? I mean, you could argue yes, because how is it then decided? But as I said, you know, maybe it's done on wins over the past few years. Maybe it's done on, I don't know, social media engagement. Let's use our most popular stars. They never reveal as to what it actually was, but it would be good if they did. But I must admit, that low down, I don't have a problem with it. Because to qualify to get into a qualifier, I would have I have more of a problem if you are someone that just gets an opportunity and you didn't qualify for it. Look at The Rock. So The Rock didn't win the Rumble. He was like, right, I'll face Roman because Cody stepped aside, and people didn't like that. They don't like it if you don't earn it, you know? And Logan said some bad stuff about Roman Reigns after Roman left his podcast. The next thing we know, Logan's got a title match, you know? So for me, there's plenty of examples of people not earning title opportunities. That bothers me a lot more. At least this way, it was 2 triple threats. The winners then face each other, and then the winner of that becomes the number one contender. So how you actually get into those triple threats is quite far down the totem pole. So I see your point, but it was one that didn't bug me, to be honest. Watson said Roman's bloodline, Jimmy and Jay versus Rock's bloodline, Solo and Tamatanga. Bloodline War Games. Pro Wrestling News said, I really love SmackDown. I'm going to go with an 825. SmackDown had a vibe of a new era, and I like that. Bron Breakker is building on the main roster. Both Undisputed Championship qualifying triple threat matches were good. Bayley called herself the WWE Women's Undisputed Champion. What was that? I don't understand. When did the Women's Championship become the Undisputed Championship? I'm so much excited to see the new Bloodline story. After watching the Bloodline segment, I can say that Solo has considered himself the tribal chief. I think Roman is returning as a babyface, confirmed, and his first rivalry will be against Solo. So what I was going to just do is I was just going to have a look at the WWE website, because if you go there and click on Superstars, you can then see what the belts are called. So this is the roster page, and if I go over here, so here you can see the roster page. So currently Cody Rhodes is the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, right? They've not changed it on this page, and Bayley is the WWE Women's Champion. To be perfectly honest with you, I think that there is just confusion with these names. I think people are confused what the name's called. I mean, one is the Women's World, and the other is the Women's, basically. So Rhea is the Women's World Champion. Bayley is the Women's Champion, right? Then you've got Damian Priest, that's the world's heavyweight champion, right? And then you've got Cody, who's the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. He did used to have heavyweight in there as well. At one point, it was the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion. but we dropped heavyweight because I think Damian Priest's, or it was Seth's at the time, was heavyweight. So it's very confusing, right? And I think it's not only confusing for us, I think it's confusing for them. So if they do add an undisputed in there, or they do add or drop a universal like Cody has been doing, Cody has been referring to himself as the undisputed WWE champion. He's not been saying universal. And now you're saying that Bayley has been calling herself the undisputed women's champion, right? So, yeah, it's very confusing. I feel like they need to clean this up. They very much need to clean this up. So, I don't mind women's champion and world champion. And then do you have, like, the WWE champion, world champion? Then you have women's champion and, I don't know, world champion. Is Rhea just the world champion? Do you need women's in front? If Rhea calls herself the world champion, we don't think that she's got the men's belt. So I don't think there's any confusion there. I don't know. It definitely needs tidying. I completely agree with you. So I'm going to put that down at the moment to Bayley getting a bit confused. Right. By orders of the tribal chief, what does Tonga mean by that? I'm guessing he's referring to Solo, but for some reason that feels too obvious. Maybe it is that simple, says Kian. Brony said, a really good SmackDown after Mania. I would give it an 8 out of 10. No doubt the best moment of the show was Solo turning on Jimmy and Tama debuting. I'm worried they'll mess up Roman if they turn him face. There's so many possibilities that could happen with the Bloodline story. Logan said, not still believing I saw what happened to the Bloodline. SmackDown, my rating is 10 out of 10. Booing Naomi, Jade, Bianca because Tiffany lost her match. I'm 100% sure that Jade, Bianca is going to be new tag team women's champions. Old Bloodline versus new Bloodline. What do you think? Yeah, I think that's clearly where we're going. I agree. I also agree with Bianca and Jade going after and becoming the new women's tag team champs. Jim said, Tamatanga being added to the Bloodline is genius, because if Paul Heyman ends up being moved out, then he's got a good mouthpiece for Solo. I'm also pleased to see Tiffy back on our screens and where Bayley versus Naomi could go. Cameron said, I think Solo either sees himself or Rock as the new tribal chief. Solo said, if you lose, there's consequences. Kicking Jimmy out was his punishment, and taking Roman's tribal chief away is his punishment. And this could all lead to a huge build for Survivor Series War Games, said Cameron. John said, I think the final boss gave the order for Solo to turn on Jimmy, and they are working towards a Roman face turn. Ryan said, SmackDown is still going to be the A show, with the Bloodline storyline entering a new chapter with the addition of Tamatanga. Also, I'm pretty sure Solo was referring to The Rock as the new tribal chief. By the way, I like the glitches. Great main event. Overall, 8 out of 10, says Ryan. Cameron Wrestling said, imagine this. Face Roman and the Usos back together with potentially Zilla versus heel Rock, Solo, and Tamatanga, with Jacob Fatu joining them. This could possibly be the build for War Games, a new chapter in the book of the Bloodline. Dave in real life, shout out to you, said, could Tonga and... Oh, no, don't follow Cameron. We'll fix that, Cameron. I do now. Oh, actually, I'm on my other account. You don't want me following you. That's why. I'm on my other account. I'm on my live account, so that's why I don't follow you. You don't want this account following you. Also put out a links to streams. Dave in real life said, could Tonga and Sikoa be answering to The Rock and not Roman, causing a split in the Bloodline? In response, could Roman call on Jacob Fatu to even the odds? Awesome show. 8 out of 10. WWE doing in the ring unlike the others. Ashton said the Bloodline story is still gonna cook. We're gonna have a face Roman versus heel Rock, Tribal Chief versus Tribal Chief, and the rest is history. Crater Face said tonight was very full Smackdown to digest. The Solo thing, this has to be an angle involving The Rock. Considering Paul didn't know any of this, it's hard to believe that Roman wouldn't keep his wise man in the knowledge. The Howdy stuff is hopefully leading to a Wyatt 6 return. Wrestling fan since day one said SmackDown was great. I think Solo and Tonga is working for The Rock. And remember, Daze, Triple H did say Roman Reigns is going to be in a storyline that's going to blow everyone's mind. This could be it. Roman Reigns' bloodline versus The Rock's bloodline. Sean G said the words wins and losses matter and they have consequences. Has to do with The Rock winning and Roman losing. This could lead to a tribal war for the title of Tribal Chief, with Rock, Solo, Tama, and Fatu versus Roman, the reassembled Usos, and Cody breaking The Rock's heart again, in my opinion. Sean, shout out to you. Dean said, I love SmackDown. I really like the Bloodline bit and the debut of Tamatanga. I think the theories are right, and it will be Bloodline versus Bloodline. The Rock as Tribal Chief and Roman as Tribal Chief, and Bloodline in a match which could take place at Survivor Series. Jacob said, I wonder if Roman will be around still, because there's no way he would just let Solo run wild. I wonder if he comes back in a couple of weeks and demands Solo to tell him who made him do it. Solo doesn't, and Roman said he's going to have to beat it out of him. Roman versus Solo soon, ? Joey said, it was another great show. 1 out of 10 just for Tiffany losing. Harry said, Daze, love the reaction to that segment. The fact that by the orders of the Tribal Chief was mentioned a bit last night screams to me that tribal combat at SummerSlam between Roman and Solo. In my opinion, Survivor Series will be the time for a big turn for either Rock or Roman. Thoughts? You could do Roman Solo in the short term, definitely. I think ultimately we're building to Roman against The Rock. I think if you have Roman and The Rock on the same side now, I think that's too powerful, because Solo just doesn't feel like he doesn't feel much of a challenge for Roman. I mean, we see Solo lose on a regular basis. His record since beating John Cena has not been very good. I know that we're going to turn it up now. I'm sure he's going to level up now, and we could absolutely do a feud, but yeah, man, we really need to build. If that's where we're going, we're going to really need to build Solo. Really need to build him, because he has not looked good for a long time. He's sort of been jobbed out, really. He's been the guy that has been taking L's so that people can get to The Rock and get to Roman, so it's going to take a lot of work. But it could be heading that way. It could be Roman versus Solo, yes. Hasib said the Bloodline segment was phenomenal, looking like we could be seeing Roman come back as a face once he beats Seth at SummerSlam. Then night 1 WrestleMania 41 face Roman, and then Usos versus heel Rock, Solo and Tama night 2 Roman. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, hang on. That Bloodline segment was phenomenal. Looking like we could be seeing Roman coming back as a face once he beats Seth at SummerSlam. Okay. Then, night 1, WrestleMania 41. Face Roman and Usos versus heel Rock, Solo, and Tama. Okay. So that's like big 6 person. And then night 2, Rock versus Roman. Right. Got you. Challenger Dark said, this show was awesome. Great matches and segments. 7.75 out of 10. Days, now that we've had some time to process it, do you think WrestleMania 40 was the best of all time? Or at least the main event was the best of all time? I can't say either were the best, but sure, top 3. Yeah, I don't think... I can't go with the best, But I just think that there was too many matches that sort of dragged it down, most notably being, you know, the street fight was all right. The Usos match was what it was. The 6-woman tag was okay. You know, there was just a bit too much of that, I think, for it to be the best. But I think that if you did a ranking, it's going to be in that sort of S tier, A tier. It's going to be right at the top. But I would not be putting it in the number 1 spot, no. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's not the best. I'm quite happy to say it's not the best. But it is definitely in the conversation. I don't think you can talk about the best WrestleManias without giving 40 a mention, so it was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. And was that the best main event of all time? It's in the conversation. It's hard to compare, really, because it had so many people popping up. You know, you had The Undertaker, you had Cena, you had The Rock, you had all these people popping up. So it was very difficult to say, or it's very difficult to say it's the best, because it was so different to anything else. But you know, how do you compare that to just Rock versus Austin, for example? How do you compare that to Rock versus Hogan? How do you compare that to the iconic moment of Hogan and Andre being face to face? You know, there's lots of main events that you go, how would you compare it to this moment, that moment? I think, you know, look, Meltzer gave it 4.75, and that tells you all you need to know. Meltzer, that's real close to a 5-star. Meltzer doesn't really give WWE 5 stars, and he doesn't really give many 4.75. So the fact that it got that says that it's one of the best, because Meltzer, you know, has admitted the WWE style is not his style. It's not what he enjoys the most. There's other promotions like New Japan that he enjoys more. That's more to his liking. So for him to give that main event 4.75, almost 5 stars, says that it's in contention for match of the year. So it has to be one of the best WrestleMania main events. Right, where were we? Jay said SmackDown was what Raw after Mania should have been. Great setups that offer intrigue, and they keep us guessing. Ethan said, absolutely stunned. This Roman with Jay and Jimmy versus Tama, Solo, and Jacob is about to cook so effing hard. Bloodline is the best storyline of all time. Also, we got another Howdy and possible Lexi tease. WWE is goated forever. I absolutely love it to the core. Dude, said Ethan. It's amazing, isn't it, bud? It is amazing. Right, and Chris said, I acknowledge the Bloodline segment that I didn't see come in at all. Applaud him. P.S. Jade Cargill, yawn. Gio said, I need Jade and Tiffany feud. I don't know why, but I need it. And then we'll just have a look, see if we've got any quoted tweets. We've got one. It's Bryn again, said, this episode of SmackDown felt like the beginning of something truly special. Finding Cody's first opponent feud, ? Jade and Bianca potentially winning tag gold. More juicy Howdy teases. And of course, Tamatanga. Solo Sikoa felt special tonight. He felt like a leader, and I loved it. So there we go. That was the words of It's Bryn again, and that was all of your opinions and thoughts. To be honest, it was the same sort of message repeated, wasn't it? Lots of excitement, people enjoying it. Bloodline thing worked. People trying to figure out where this is going, but loud and clear. A bloodline versus a bloodline is very much what we're expecting. Survivor Series, War Games potentially. Yeah, I mean, brilliant. Brilliant. I scored it 8.25 to 8.5. I was in that sort of area for this show. And honestly, we have ate very, very good. I don't know what we're going to do next week. I really don't know how we're going to keep this going. But we know that not far off, I think, isn't it not next week, the week after, we've got the draft. And that's going to shake everything up, so we don't have to wait too long till we get to the draft. And then it'll be very interesting to see how the landscape looks then. So Right, thanks a lot for joining us. Really appreciate the support. I hope you had a lot of fun, and I will, of course, see you again later. We're doing the UFC stream, and as soon as UFC is done, then I will be back with another Unseen. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.